For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on your favorite podcast app. Glad you could find us. I know there's lots to listen to out there, and we're certainly glad that you tune in week after week. And if this is your first time listening, well, thanks for joining us. We have got a busy show today. We're talking music for the whole 30 minutes. My pal Chantal Kreviazuk from Winnipeg, Manitoba, my hometown, has some new Christmas music out. She's going on tour for the holidays, and so we're going to chat with her about all of the latest projects that she has on the go. And also, Taylor Swift is making headlines. This story just hit last night that she's wanting to perform her music at the AMAs, but Scooter Braun, right, you know, the one who discovered Justin Bieber and has, kind of taken the music world by storm, depending on who you ask, apparently he's not letting her because he now owns her original music from back in the day. So I've got my thoughts and theories on that, and I'll share that with you coming up in just a few moments. So it's all coming up today on The Scribble. Feel free to give me a shout anytime. It's always awesome hearing from you. The email address is live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com, and things get started right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. Okay, so this whole Taylor Swift thing, the story just broke last night because, Taylor. See, I'm used to doing, broadcast journalism, so you always refer to the people by the last name after you've said the full name, so I keep wanting to say Swift. But, let's keep it casual here on the podcast. Taylor. Taylor went public on Thursday saying that Scooter Braun and one of his business partners from Big Machine are not being fair to her. And she is prepared to accept the Artist of the Decade award at the AMAs in a couple of weeks and wanted to perform a medley of her songs. Well, she says the guys are just not letting her do it. Now, of course, she's crying foul, right? Just as you know in her own music, she's always the victim. That's kind of always the case, right? That's the theme behind how she is. And so she's obviously then trying to rally support from her fans, right? She wants them to feel like, Scooter is a big bully and he's not being fair. Well, of course, we hear her side. And then as the story comes out, now this happened, like I said, Thursday afternoon, I guess early evening, depending on which time zone you're in. And then we find out that Big Machine, the company, says apparently that Taylor owes them money, more than $7 million. They've been asking for it for over a year. She hasn't paid. So they're saying, it's kind of, well, you get what you deserve, right? You haven't paid us. So why would we let you use our music, right? It's their music now. Now, you remember when her music was bought several months ago, she complained because, she was a teenager at the time when she got her deal. And, I guess she either got bad advice or taken advantage of, again, the woe was me kind of thing. But now, she's got all the money in the world. So why isn't she either, sue them or buy the music back if it means that much to you, right? If it's about principle now at this point, buy the music back from them. I don't see that the guys are trying to sell it to her, right? But anyway, and so apparently they're not going to let her perform the music that they own at the AMAs. So here's the deal, and this would be a great question for me to ask Chantal Kreviazuk because she writes for a whole bunch of people. And, but the interview that you're going to be hearing in a few moments was actually taped a few days ago, and it was for the radio. This is the extended version on the podcast. Nevertheless, and me, who, I've written books, and I've written stuff that, people would pay for, and I get royalties for, and things like that. I don't know. There's a part of me that I actually have a few sides to this. First off, I know that Taylor has pissed off a lot of people in the music business. I know that. I know she doesn't have fans in Justin Bieber, Kim Kardashian, Kanye West. You remember that whole thing, right? I know that Miley Cyrus doesn't like her, and that John Mayer and a whole bunch of other celebrities just don't care for her. Now, not to say that that's great. Now stick it to her, screw her over. That's not what I mean. But when you have this bad blood with so many people, and now suddenly you've got somebody who's in power who owns your stuff, maybe you should be nicer. Because again, the sources are saying that Scooter Braun and his business partner they've tried to make nice with Taylor, but she's kind of said no. Now again, right, we're going he said, she said kind of stories here. But so there's that thought where it's like, you know what? If they are in fact trying to make nice with her and she's just not playing ball, well, okay, then screw her then, really. And I'm saying that for anybody. If somebody were to do that to me, okay. If they're giving me an opportunity and, and I stick my heels in the ground or I do whatever, well, then that is on me. Now, here's something else. Because I've been doing this entertainment reporting thing for a very long time, the cynic in me is saying, wait a second here, though. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the AMA's ratings has gone down for the past couple of years. And we have seen things like this before. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but we have seen this before where there's been, some feud or drama or some kind of cliffhanger thing days or weeks before the award show. And that is, the hope is to get people to tune in. Well, I want to see, is Taylor going to be able to perform her music? Is she going to call out Scooter and being bullied? Is she gonna, and so there's a part of me that wonders if that's kind of the deal as well. So what do you think? Now again, like I said, I'm not in the music business, I'm in the entertainment reporting business, but there's that, kind of I guess you'd call it clickbait if that was something that you'd be clicking on the internet, but this is, I guess, watch bait. Well, click the remote, I guess. Clickbait in that regard. So what do you think about it? Do you think that this is just a scam to kind of get them to, to get people to tune in? Do you think all will be suddenly, miraculously, the day before they're going to come to an agreement and all will be well? Tell me your thoughts. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Again, who knows? I totally see Taylor's side where, that's almost most of her career is in somebody else's hands right now. I get it. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying I don't understand where she's coming from when basically all that you've worked for and everything that you've had in terms of your creative, your juices, the products of your celebrity. I'm not saying that, but there is a way when you think about how she's got such attitude in her music, you can't help but wonder if some of that is actually her true personality, right? I mean, I've written a porn book. Doesn't mean I'm a big sex addict porn star, that I'm doing everything. Our company published an erotic novel, and I used to write a porn blog for a European porn star. But that's being creative, right? Like that's something that whenever people have had that interaction, they're like, "Oh, is it based on your life?" I'm like, "No, that's just being a good writer." So I understand that you can say, "Well, her writing is music; it's a craft, it's an art." From what I understand, though, a lot of her music is based on her real life situations. So, you think about how she portrays herself in her music. She's generally always the victim, right? When there were teardrops on her guitar, isn't that how it all started? So anyway, live@jbonair.com. Tell me what you think about this whole Taylor Swift feud. We're going to be right back with Chantal Kreviazuk talking about her latest Christmas music and upcoming concert tour.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
There's nothing like a cold prairie Christmas for the holidays, and joining us on the line from Los Angeles is our fellow Winnipegger Chantal Kreviazuk. Hello, my friend.
Hey, Jeremy.
You know, I laughed because we were talking about doing this when we were both in California. I was in Palm Springs and you're still in LA, and you've lived there for a long time, but tell me about celebrating Christmas in warm weather versus a place like Winnipeg. Do you get to the city for the holidays?
Well, there's a lot of misconceptions about California, by the way. And like often we're in, Canada anyway,
right,
over Christmas. But when we're here, which honestly it's really, really rare that we're here at Christmas time. But if we are, it's cold here. It's the desert, and the desert it gets really cold, and in that, January, February pocket, it doesn't snow. I mean, it could, it has, but, it doesn't snow really. But, like, Mammoth is close. Like, there is snow nearby. We go to snow. And especially at night, like, the lights are all on all the houses and trees and everything, and it's pretty nippy out there. So you do get the spirit.
Yeah,
you really do.
Absolutely.
And
but
it's also nice and quiet. Here, it's actually a great place to be over the holidays. If it ever happens, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah. But, you can't deny there's something about the smell of the, wood-burning fireplace when you're going up to your neighbors or to a family member in Winnipeg. It's certainly, that's part of the holiday season, at least for me. But I totally appreciate people who go to the hotspot destinations.
I mean, all of that stuff, I think no matter where you are, for sure. And, I mean, there's not really anywhere on the planet more Christmassy, I would think, than Winnipeg. or, the surrounding communities, obviously.
Yeah. So what was your favorite part of the holiday season growing up, and then what's the best part now? I mean, you're a parent now, so what was the best back then, and what's the best now?
Well, I think probably all the Christmas music. I remember as a child bundling up and getting in the car and going back to school for the big Christmas concert. That was always, there's so much nostalgia when I think about that. Just the winter aspect, right? The tobogganing and making snowmen and, just being a kid in the winter, in a winter environment is really, obviously, a very particular experience. So, yeah, and my kids are always like, I have to have snow at Christmas. Kids love it.
I could talk about Christmas memories all day, but I know you're heading out on tour for the holidays. You've got new music out. Let's talk about the show first. What can people expect when they celebrate the holidays with you at the show?
I'm hoping that there's a cool surprise appearance during the show.
Okay.
And once people have the album, they'll know what I mean. It comes out on November 15th.
Yeah.
And other than that, I think it's just going to be really intimate. I'm going to do a mix, of holiday music and probably a couple songs from my history that people know. So, it'll be really nice. Even the album's super Christmassy on the one end. Like, there's classic Christmas songs on it. There's, a couple of originals that I wrote that are, really, really, really Christmassy. And then I put 2 originals on. They're a little not, like, they don't just have to be at Christmas, but the lyrics to them does reflect on the meaning of the holiday season. So,
how do you've been a songwriter for many years. When it comes to Christmas songs, though, that are so, deeply rooted in people's history, they're traditional. How do you know when it's right to, I'm going to use the term mess with them, but I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, when you change it up. Do you know what I'm asking? Like, how do you know when it's the right time to do that?
Tricky. You're right. Like, you don't want to mess with that, right? So, I think I was just respectful and cautious not to. They call them in the publishing world, they're called derivatives. So, you actually change the song enough, and it's no longer that song even. It's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I would respond to that more so in how I would feel, because I'm such a fan of Christmas music. So if I just go with my own taste and my own instincts, right? Like, if I'm thinking to myself, like, if I heard that on the radio, would that be okay? Like, would I be accepting of that, or would I reject that kind of thing? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I went with it. I just followed my own sort of instincts. Like, I do Silent Night and I do What Child Is This? And I do add these sort of like little features in I guess call it a bridge or something like that, or and it's subtle. It's not like a huge change to the song,
right,
but it's definitely different. And it was a little bit of a scary thing to do, but I did it. But the rest of the bones of the songs are there. And then on Winter Wonderland, it's like so world pop, and it's all the same besides like the sort of landscape of the track. So the track is extremely fun, and you'll feel like dancing to it and being happy. But I think Winter Wonderland makes you feel like that anyway. So it's okay that we got a little went a little crazy on the track. But it's really, I think it still feels classic. I don't know how to explain it. It still feels, it's still safe.
Well, and that's the thing. It works. And You Want to Be an Angel. That's the one. You Want to Be an Angel is the La 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 song, right?
No, I wrote a song called I Want to Be an Angel.
Yeah, but that's
but
that's the one that has the part
that. Yeah, the la 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 la. Oh,
yeah.
You heard the whole album. Good. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm that's an airhead. Yeah. So it's yeah. So I created my own essentially, I guess.
Right. Okay. I know your music better than you do, Chantal. This is not right. I
forgot about that. I'm sorry, Jeremy.
And if you keep singing,
yes, I created my own.
And if you keep singing on the show, we're gonna have to pay for it. So stop that too, Chantal. Come on.
Okay. I won't. I'll quit. I quit.
Let's talk about the name of the album. What was the inspiration for that?
Oh, it's so cool. Well, first of all, the song came in a very visionary moment, and that's exciting because that doesn't always happen. So literally, I envisioned the writing of the song, where and when and how I would write it, and it all came to fruition without me even trying. It was crazy. I had a vision I was going to write a hit Christmas song while riding bikes with my dad in the country in Manitoba. How weird is that? In July. And then I was in Toronto. I dropped my kids at camp, and I was just sitting around the house, and I was really, sad with the kids at camp, and I just couldn't take it anymore. My dad said, well, come home for the weekend. So I went home to Winnipeg, and we always ride bikes together, my dad and I. So I got on the bike with him. We started riding in the country, as we always do. And all of a sudden, this song, this amazing Christmas song called Christmas is a Way of Life, My Dear, just popped in. And I wrote it in front of my dad. I was singing it all the way along the country road in Winnipeg with him. Came home, put it on the piano, parked myself at the piano, recorded it in front of my parents. They loved it. And then came home and did a Christmas album. Like, I mean, it's the most bizarre thing ever. So, and then the reason that I wrote the song, Christmas is a Way of Life, My Dear, is because I, like, see the hope in people at Christmas. Not the hope for people who suffer, but the hope in all people who become sort of touched by the season. And, you know, at Christmas, obviously, we almost go into this place of intention, right? Of being intentionally kind and generous and warm, and we're warm to family that's otherwise, you know, difficult to see eye to eye with, or we are kinder to strangers, and we're more generous with, you know, people in need. And so I just sort of did this, like, you know, imagine if we had that capacity or that courage, you know, all throughout the year, and then turn that into a pop song. And then the theme of the whole album is that, too. Like, that's what where I kind of put my heart for the whole album. Like, that's where I set my intention, whether writing it or just considering the songs I would put on the album.
And there's other voices on the album, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Correct.
Who is that?
My son Salvador Meda, sings an original song that I wrote for him called The Christmas Train. And that's really exciting. I didn't even know that he knew how to record, so that was pretty cool. I mean, I knew he had a lovely voice, don't get me wrong. But we're just so casual here. We don't, like, press anybody to do anything in the arts. It's like if you want to, here's your opportunity, go ahead, we'll support you, but we're not, like, pressure at all. So I thought of his sweet little voice, and I wrote this song, and I was like, Sal, I wrote a song for you for the album, you gotta come sing it. And it was like, oh, okay. He was like, he didn't fight it at all, and then I said, okay, come now. And we had the piano, like, all the track ready, and then, you know, it was so wild, because he stepped up to the microphone and killed it. And then he joins me on the Paul McCartney Christmas classic, Wonderful Christmas Time. And he even did all the harmonies on that middle eight part, you know, with "Oh, quiet things." They practice all year long. He did all of the entire. I mean, I don't even know if my voice is in the mix on that. It's adorable, and you know, there's nothing sweeter and more angelic than, you know, a little boy's voice before it cracks. So, yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And then Rain sings with me on Blue Christmas, which is his all-time favorite Christmas song, so that was a lot of fun. And yeah, that's it.
Let me ask you in our final remaining moments, what is your favorite Christmas song? And then I want to ask you what your favorite Christmas song is on this album. I know songs can be like children, right? You can't necessarily have a favorite one, but maybe you do. So what's your favorite Christmas songs?
I have to say, well, I mean, it's easy for me to say. I think I like What Child Is. It's a tie for me between What Child Is This and Oh Holy Night. But I've done Oh Holy Night before, so I didn't put on this album. And then I love the Christmas Train, my son Sal singing, or the Paul McCartney one. But I'm also, like, pretty jazzed about the Christmas is a Way of Life, My Dear. Just the track is so special and so fun and poppy and feel good, and so is Winter Wonderland. They're just so feel good, so poppy. And I don't know, sometimes I'm scared, Jeremy, to be super uber poppy. I think of myself as someone who writes those for other people. Mm-hmm. So what I love about this album is it gave me the chance to do that for myself without apology, you know, unapologetically, and just have fun. I think at some point that's what life should be about a bit, you know?
Absolutely. So we've teased everybody about it, but the album is out November 15th, right?
Yes.
And the tickets for the Christmas tour are on sale now. So it all goes without saying that there's going to be a seat for me at the Winnipeg show, right? I mean,
I promise.
Oh.
I promise. Absolutely.
And where can people get all the details about your tour dates and album?
They can go to my Insta at Chantal Kreviazuk. And Facebook, I think there might be some info on Twitter too, but probably best is Insta or Facebook.
All right, we're going to be watching, and I guess I'll say an early Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, no need to. I'll see you soon. See you in December.
Okay, well, I'll hold you to that. All right, Chantal Kreviazuk, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jeremy. I really appreciate it.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. So since we're on the subject of Christmas music, and again, even when I say that, there's a bit of hesitation in my voice because I believe we're supposed to say holiday music now. Now, don't get me wrong. I celebrate Christmas. I will be upfront and open about that. But I can't help but agree with the people who go and say, like, we've taken things a little bit too far. Somebody could wish me Happy Hanukkah, and I will say thank you. I'm not going to go and say, I'm not Jewish. That is offensive. I'm not, whatever. You know what? Here's the deal. They're wishing me well. Isn't that all that matters? In the grand scheme of things, when you look at what is going on in this world, they're wishing you well. Even if you said happy birthday to me and it's 6 months before my birthday, you're saying something nice to me. Isn't that a good thing? I actually had that, by the way. I'm not joking. One of my friends, and this is, I don't remember anybody's birthdays either, so I'm not even going to, claim to be to have a great memory. But I did get a text from a friend out of nowhere that said, "Happy birthday, old man." And it was funny because obviously he was trying to be funny, but he was just so off. Like we're talking literally months away from my birthday. But here's the deal. It was still well wishes, right? So, I don't take offense to it. And I also just feel like, first of all, you shouldn't be listening to my crap that I put out on the radio or on the podcast if you're easily offended. Let's start with that. But, like now we've got to sort of almost, you got to feel it out, right? You got to find out what the person likes and doesn't like. And it's a little bit sad. So, and then let's also talk very quickly about John Legend, right? Man of the Year, sexiest man alive, or whatever People magazine called him. And he's got Baby It's Cold Outside. And, of course, that song is once again in the news because people consider it rapey, right? It's a flirty song from back in the day. What is it, the 1940s or so? And it's playful, it's fun, just have another drink. And now, of course, with all these different campaigns, right? Me Too, Time's Up, all those things, that, it's a guy who's, forcing the woman to stay with him, stay the night and whatever. And so Sharon Osbourne chimed in saying, you know what, it's a classic song. Leave it as it is. Why are we up in arms about it? John Legend is remaking the words. What would he think if somebody did that to his music all those years later? That, suddenly what he had sung about or wrote about or performed was considered insensitive of that time. Would he feel somebody going in and changing his artwork being the lyrics, I'm saying, just to conform to society's uptight standards? And now that leads us to the Disney Plus thing, where they are now putting cultural insensitivity disclaimers and warnings before some of their movies that have dated references. And, where does it stop at that point? Do we then go to the library and every single book is now going to have a warning label? Because here's the deal, and I actually said this to one of my colleagues the other day, the whole Disney thing. When I was reading the news story about it and they gave examples of what's considered offensive, here's the thing. Until you just told me all this, I didn't even know about it. So now you're informing me that it's insensitive or culturally inappropriate or what have you. Meanwhile, I didn't see it that way to begin with. So now you are bringing it to my attention, and you're educating me on, racial slurs or generalizations from back in the day that I didn't even know about. So, you're basically educating a whole new audience to be intolerant and to go and say that was wrong. Yeah, it's great that generation from back in the day knows that it's unacceptable or whatever to have those stereotypes. But like I said, until they had given some like characters, or even like there were scenes with cartoon characters like smoking cigarettes, and people are wondering that why like really it's come to that point. So I don't know. Again, tell me your thoughts on something like that. You can email me live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here, back on The Scribble. All this Christmas talk, and it's only mid-November. I think that we do have more. Do we have more celebrity Christmas stuff next week? See, I normally don't get into Christmas until like the second week of December when we have it on the radio shows, but we're starting early this year, so I'm kind of liking it as well. Maybe I'll even start my Christmas shopping in the next day or two. I won't do that. Anyway, I will talk to you same time, same place next week. You can always check out our celebrity interviews at speakfreecelebwatch.com, and the latest entertainment news. We had that story about Taylor Swift at entertainmentwrapup.com, entertainmentwrapup.com. My email address, once again, live at jbonair.com. Thanks to Chantal Kreviazuk for joining us. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat